used for regression as well as classification. What I was explaining is that your neural network can be used for regression and classification, both the purposes. Here in this example, we are looking for the regression part. So let us take an example of regression. Suppose I want to analyze speed, which is my input data, and that we have a target. Target is distance. So this is definitely y. Now, by looking into the speed and distance data, I want to create a model that is a neural network based model to make the further predictions. That your distance must be continuous. This is supervised learning. If y is continuous, your algorithm is for regression. If y is discrete, this is called as classification. That's it. If y is discrete, or particularly it will be binary type. Not necessarily, but most of the time it will be binary. So if it is a binary value, you'll perform classification. If it is a continuous data, you will apply regression. If your target data, so regression means if your target data is continuous, that is what we need to understand. Okay, that's it. Nothing else. Now suppose if your data is, the goal of the linear regression is to create a model that will able to fit through this data set. Here x is your speed and y is your distance. So that means that we want to create a model that will able to predict my distances. Distance is my y or y hat. Let's say whatever the output will come, it will be a predicted outcome, not the actual one. So distance, you can take multiple example here. You could have like height, weight. So depending upon your height, your weight will be there, or body mass index, BMI. These are all continuous value. Height will be continuous, body mass index will be continuous, or weight will be also continuous. It is not important here that what is your nature of x. It must be numerical, but it is not that x should be also discrete. Nothing to be said about this, only y is important. Now distance y hat is equals to function of I equals to 1 to n. Now in this case, I will take x value. X dot WT plus bias. Remember this part. Different varieties of speed is there. This is the relationship between distance and speed in terms of neural network. What is this equation? This equation is a linear equation. And because it is a 2D surface, you will expect a line. Now this line is your regression line. So this is your linear equation, and linear equation gives you the linear output, and hence it will be a regression line, as you can see, and this regression line will be your also it will be your predicted surface. Regression the goal is to find best fit regression surface. Now, when we have taken here the different weights and the different biases, what basically they will be used? Their role and responsibility we have to take. The role of weights and role of the biases. So let's try to figure out that when does we talk about that we need to use a neuron onto the surface of the data. This is my data. And on the other side, we have got the X value and your Y value. Now, suppose we have this example and I want to fit to this data set. What do you mean by fit? Fit means there will be a lot of approximations where your data will try to learn through this data set and they will draw various surfaces. That surface could be, this surface could be a line, this could be a plane, or this could be an n-dimensional surface, depending upon what is the dimensionality of the data. Right now, I'm using only one X and one Y, so it's a 2D surface. In 2D surface, it will be a line. Okay, in 3D surface, it will be a plane. But if it is more than 3D, then obviously it will be a surface which we cannot plot. But just imagine there will be a linear surface where all of your predicted point will fall. So this is your line on which your predicted surface, predicted points will fall for the values of X. All these points which you are seeing, these are called as your predicted output. Now, because all your predicted output will fall for the given X value, for given input X, whatever your output is coming up, that will fall over the surface. Okay, and this is what called as your Y hat. Now the point is how to reach this particular line, because there could be multiple possibilities, isn't it? There could be a possibility of this being your regression surface. There is a possibility of this being your regression surface. There is a possibility that take one more color, that this is your regression surface. How many possibilities will be there? How many possibilities will be there in this?
Infinite.
Infinite, correct. So there are infinite possibilities of this type of surface. Now that we know that your regression surface is giving you infinite possibilities, that means we need to not just find out a regression surface, but we need to find out that particular line which will give you the best fit. And that's where the role of bias and weights are important. Okay. Role of regression is to find best fit line. That is the question. So in the earlier case, we have seen that we have a regression surface and there are infinite possibilities of that. Then how does we will understand that what model is giving us is best, and why not, and on what basis you will say that your model is not good? We came to know the bill was 850 because of actual values of these two. And suppose if there is any tip or initial value, let's say, all these three values combined together to give you the outcome, which is 850. Now let us say the same problem I'm applying here because data is continuous. And if it is coming out to be 500. So how does we compute it that my model is not working good? This is your cashier brain. This is neural network regression. So my model is not working good. How does I will know? By computing the error. So it is important to understand the concept of error, to understand where the model can go wrong and what are the decisions we have to take to make it correct. Y minus y hat. This should be a minimum. Let us try to find out. The point is, this is your y1 and that's your y1 hat. That is my y2 hat. This is y2. This is y3. That's your y3 hat. This is my y4 hat. This is y4. Okay, all of these are your values of error. Okay. Let me just take all the values of the errors. So this is E1, E2, E3, E4, and E5. So we have got E1, E2, E3, E4, and E5. Error equation is, or error part, error EI, this is equals to yi minus yi hat. Yi minus yi hat. This is called as your error. Correct? That is what we know. Okay, we call it as a residual error. We call this as a residual error. EI equals to yi minus yi hat. Actual minus predicted. Let's find out the sum of residual. Sum of residual value. Now in the sum of a residual value, error value equals to error equals to I equals to 1 to n yi minus yi hat square. This is the error equation we need to take up. So isn't it they will cancel out each other? Let's say even if there is no cancelling out, we are not getting the sum of error, we are getting something else. At least you can understand, maybe it will not be 0, but the point is they are cancelling out each other. These two will cancel out each other. If sign is a problem, then we can take absolute value. That is the most suitable answer. The second one is the overall value of E could be very high. That is absolute value. Next part, average. So what does we use? MSE, mean squared error. Yi minus yi hat square. Error E equals to 1 by n. I equals to 1 to n yi minus yi hat square. This is your mean squared error. Optimizer's role is to optimize the values of parameters optimize the values of parameters and update the values to give final outcome. Optimizer role is to optimize the values of parameter and update the values to give optimum predicted output. Whatever the predictions we are getting, that needs to get optimized one. And that will only happen when you will minimize this error. And minimizing this error is part of your optimizers. Now, let's expand this equation to understand that what do you mean by optimization once again. Let us expand this equation. E equals to 1 by n. That is the number of sample 1 to n. Yi minus yi hat. What is yi hat? Xi wi v naught w naught and make it a square. Minus xi wi v naught w naught. This is my actual value and these are all my predicted outcome. E equals to 1 to n, 1 by n, I equals to 1 to n, yi minus xi wi plus b naught w naught. Class, if you will look here, if I have to optimize, if your error is more, what do you think? Why this error will be important? Here in this, by looking into this error part, the things are quite clear. If there is a large difference in the error, or if the error is high, why that error value will be high? W naught, sorry, all the weights and bias. Intercept slope is basically relevant to your linear regression. In neural network, it is weights and biases. So if in any cases, we need to tune these weights and biases to adjust this error differences. So if your error is increasing, now things are clear. What is wrong? If your error is large, yes, Dr. Rajni, it is correct that your weights and biases are not optimized or not tuned properly. If error is high, weights and biases values are not tuned. What is going on here mathematically? If you don't understand maths much, you can leave your things here only. Don't understand the next part. It is okay. But if you understand math and you understand what you mean by tangent, then you can learn about the mathematical representation. Theoretically, last part which you can understand is that here at every point we are taking a gradient. Gradient is partial differentiation of error with respect to its respective weight, W1, W2, W3, whatever it is. So here your weights are getting updated and it is minimizing by alpha times del E by del naught. Now class, this is your tangent. This is nothing but this is your tangent, and tangent to the surface, there will be a certain value. This will keep on iterating itself until unless your tangent becomes zero. Automatically, this process will stop here because at this point, your tangent value is, or gradient value will be zero. That means del E by del naught is zero. No update. So when there is no update, we will not, these values will be not adjusted anymore further. All right. So this was what happens when you apply a gradient descent. This is alpha. Learning rate is hyperparameter. We need to adjust these values to improve our performance of convergence. Here your error is converging. We need to improve the performance. That means it should be done faster, or it should be done slower to get better outcome. Now, in order to get that outcome better, we need to understand what is learning rate and the varieties of learning rate. So if alpha is large, if alpha value is large, so if your alpha value is large, always miss the minimum. This was the goal, which I'm calling it as minimum. These are your error surface. This is what happens when your alpha value is very, very small. It is taking more number of iterations or more number of epochs. It will iterate it multiple times. As you can see that there is a very large, small change. Very small change, which you can observe. Here your alpha value is very, very large. And here is your optimum range. To converge. It speeds up a very fast at a very fast rate when the gap between goal and error is very high. And as it is started reaching towards minima, it will converge at a very slow rate so that it will not miss the minima. And these are the optimum range. Okay, smaller than 0. This is a range of the data, so you have to choose for different values. There is no fixed value for which you will get all the data. There is a default value which is 0.001, but as I said, that will depend upon problem statement. If you want to, this is the most used value, which is 0.001, but you can change this as per your requirement. It's correct. 0, 1, 1, 0. So when you already know that your output is 1, 1 in the middle, correct? Now the point is for these two values, that is for 1 and 0, and for 0, 1, we have got the predictions. These are all your predicted outputs, which will be 1, 1. Now the point is we cannot draw a line to classify this data. Will you be able to? These are all your predicted surface or predicted line. X1 W1, X2 W2, plus bias equals to theta 1. X1 W1, X2 W2, plus bias equals to theta 2. So it is not only about making predictions through one equation, but it is through two. And these are only possible if you have two layered neural network. One layer is this, and this is your second layer. XOR gate, we will not able to classify, we will not able to draw one single decision boundary. We need two decision boundaries here. So it was the XOR gate that was not getting solved through a single layer. So people thought we need more than one layer, and that's why these are all your predicted outcomes. Summation of F1, F2, F2, and F3. Now class, remember that this is your input layer. There are names. This is called as your input layer. W31, W32, W33, W41, W42, W43, W51, 52, 53. They all will have their own independent bias value as well. These are all your bias value. W01, W02. W03, W04. W05. And this will be W06. Class, there is a reason behind why I have written all these things. To show you that each and every weight is independent to each other. Not even a single weight depends upon, has a dependency over the other neuron. Please remember this part. All neurons are, all neuron weights and biases are independent to each other. All your weights are getting updated. Call this as feed-forward neural network. All neuron weights and biases are independent to each other. This is called as feed-forward neural network. This is called as feed-forward neural network. Why it is called as feed-forward neural network? Because your input data from X1 and X2 processes itself in the forward direction. They are processing itself only through the forward direction to make the predictions out of it. All the neurons, weights and biases are independent to each other. Remember, this is your point number one. Each layer input and hidden can have multiple neurons. of 2 to the power n value. That is your point of view here. Activation functions are not been discussed yet. And so does your optimizers. Optimizers for regression. What are the optimizers that you can use? RMS prop, root mean square propagation. Root mean square propagation, RMS prop. It's called as RMS prop or root mean square propagation. That is the most used optimizers in regression to minimize the error. Second is ADAM. This is your adaptive momentum. It uses adaptive momentum. Momentum is the speed of minimization. It uses the concept of momentum plus, or there's something called as ADAGRAD. That is adaptive gradient descent plus RMS prop. Actually, ADAM can be used for regression as well as classification. This is the best one that we have got. Generally, ADAM is used with classification, and for regression, we generally use RMS prop. But yes, you can use it. ADAM also you can use. Activation functions that we use in neural network, that is into your input data and your hidden layers. It uses ReLU. It uses ReLU. Is one for regression. Number of neuron in output layer is in regression is always 1. Remember this. Here there will be only one output layer. Sorry, one output neuron, only one. These are only one output layer that you should use. In the hidden layer, it could be of any shape, like linear or identity activation function. Linear or identity activation function. Here your g of x or g of x equals to this is your g of x. When we have taken activation function, that is f of g of x, the output will remain same. As in this type of data, your output is continuous, comes under range. The range could be anything between minus infinity to plus infinity. Pros, it gives a range of activations, and it is not a binary activation function. It is regression. Because your range is minus infinity to plus infinity, neural network is a regression. Neural network uses regression, and it won't give you output in terms of 0 and 1. Okay, so hence they are binary. It provides you f of g of x, which should be equal to max of 0 comma g of x. So it is going to provide you 0 if your value is negative, g of x is smaller than 0. It is going to be g of x if your g of x is greater than equal to 0. If your g of x is positive, if your g of x is positive, your f of g of x will be g of x. If it is smaller than 0 or negative, the output will be 0. Max of 0 comma x. This is all about non-linear activation function. This is your non-linear activation function. Remember this. Though it look like a linear, but it is. ReLU function is non-linear. Remember that, although it looks like a linear function. This part was all, this was simply a linear activation function, as the name suggests. It is a linear activation function, whereas this one is non-linear activation function, ReLU, named as rectified linear unit. Rectified linear unit will basically used wherever you want your output to be positive. Okay, suppose I have taken a neuron. I want that output should not be a negative value, it should be a positive value. Then ReLU will be implemented. That's the reason why it is mostly used in all the image classification. Remember that. Mostly used in CNN model for images, because of this nature that it eliminates all the negative value to 0. Now that becomes a drawback because your range is, what will be the range in this case? 0 to infinity. So because this has got this, basically limit the output from a neuron, that the output cannot be, or the neuron will never give you a negative output. That means your value will have a range of 0 to infinity. But what if we have if we require a slight slope, a small slope or is there in this particular section, a small slope. In this section, your f of z or your f of g of x will be equal to max of 0.1 g of x, and this will be g of x. So small slope is there that will keep on updating itself. Small slope in negative values. Small slope in the negative values. In a regression example, your value is decreasing as well as increasing. Something like this. Sensex type of data maybe. But Sensex is mostly increasing, right? Let's say daily cases of COVID. Daily cases of COVID will be about decreasing, increasing, decreasing, increasing. Correct? So in that type of cases, you can apply leaky ReLU in that type of data. I've implemented this into the COVID, so I know about it. If you remember that your output is all positive, you know that your output is not going to be decreasing or it's not going to be decreasing by a large margin. It's all positive then. ReLU. Like image pixel values are always in between 0 to 255. Correct? This is the range of the image pixel. So because your range of the image pixels are always between 0 to 255 in the values, you can never use it. You'll always apply the ReLU section. Follow some flow. And this is that flow that we need to mention. We start with reading the data set, then data manipulation, pre-processing, visualization, feature extraction, splitting the data into train and test. And then comes the role of algorithm. So remember this part. Charges which are available to us. That type of data set is available. So depending upon various factors, we will create a model that will able to give me the prediction about the charges, the medical charges, age, sex, body mass index, children, smoker, region, and charges. Insurance underscore DF, PD.read underscore CSV. I've copied the URL link. We have taken the data set. Let us display here insurance underscore DF. That I will take up later. In the images part, I will discuss that part. Display your data set. All of you take the data set from the GitHub. That we have multiple examples here, which is mentioned. Age is there, sex is there, body mass index, children. Then we have got a smoker, then we have got region, and we have got charges. Insurance data. And this is the amount that they need to pay. For 4 different regions, and depending upon their habit, number of children, body mass index, their sex, and their age, these are the factors to decide what should be the charges they need to pay. Okay, or they are paying. There are enough amount of data. You can see there are near about 1,338 samples which are available to us. Let us start our discussion with first checking and comparing if there are any missing values in this. How to check if there is any missing value? Function name. Write the function name to check the number of missing values on the chat. How to find out this total number of missing values? Answer is seasonal.sum. Seasonal only returns you true and false. When I say that I want to know the number of missing values, then you need to apply sum or count. So when we have got the summation of all the missing values which are all 0, that means the data is clean. Now if your data is clean, let us prepare this data set. Otherwise, we will handle it. How to handle the missing values, we will discuss about it later. Next, label encoder. Who is there? Label encoder, this is part of your data pre-processing. Label encoder, data pre-processing. Insurance underscore DF. Let's take the column 6. Drop underscore duplicates. Now when I apply here drop underscore duplicate, this will show you the unique values actually. There are two ways. This was also, this is actually the alternative method to unique, as this also shows how many unique values are present in your data set. So in the column 6, we have got missing values. Sorry, we have got two unique data, male and female. There is one more categorical data set that we are having. It's called as region. In the region part, we have got southeast, southwest, southeast, northwest, and northeast.
Meaning that every attribute remains same.
Hmm?
All attributes, since all the attributes are same, it gets dropped.
No, it is about finding all the, yes, you can say another way, that it is dropping all the duplicate entries. So if it is dropping all the duplicate entries, what you will have in the end is the unique values. So other values will be dropped. And when it is the difference between unique and drop duplicate is that drop duplicate also gives you the position where your duplicate entries are present. Like female is present at index position 0, male is present at index number 1. That's your third value, which is again categorical type. these three values are categorical. If your data is categorical, you have two options. Option number one, listen here now, leave all your work and pay attention. If your data on which you are working is having lot of categorical stuff, male, female, southwest, southeast, northwest, northeast, all again categorical, and yes or no. If they are two in number, if there are binary values, sorry, male and female, only two values, that can be replaced with binary. If it is more than two, then we apply label encoder. Okay, what is label encoder will be doing? That label encoder will convert them 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. The other alternative to this is you can convert them into one hot encoding as well. That one hot encoding, I will be implementing it in some other example. Here I am implementing label encoder, which is a part of data pre-processing. What I said about the data pre-processing is that there is no particular fixed position for applying the data pre-processing. Yes, there is a sequence about if there is, so the first thing that you should handle always is the missing values. If you have a missing data, you should first give the priority to that. Then you apply any pre-processing. So I have checked already, there are no missing values. Then in this case, I came the second part where I'll be handling the label encoder. Pre-processing, import label encoder. In the label encoder, so the application, how does we apply? LE equals to label encoder. Now the first thing that we need to do in this case is training the pre-processing model with unique values. And this will transform the label encoder is one of the pre-processing model that we have. And this will transform categorical values to 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. LE.fit insurance DF sex column dot drop underscore duplicates. So here I need to train the model. Please pay attention here. Otherwise you will forget. So already explained that you need to first pass the kind of a data so that your pre-processing model that I'm applying will able to get trained about what type of data they have to transfer. At least they will know that how many type of data is there. So that's the reason why I have to apply the drop duplicate values, because in this case there are only two entries, male and female. All right. Now, once we have already know about it, insurance DF, LE dot transform insurance DF. I'm taking this column 6. And here your data has got transformed. It got transformed, and I have also updated in the same column. We don't have something like in place in this. So once it has got trained, it can get transformed. Then only you can get transformed. So now once your data is transformed, how does your updated value look like? The updated value look like this. Sex column where male and female was there is replaced with 0 and 1. Done. There are many other pre-processing methods which are available. So here your data got updated, and about the column 6. Now the second part that we like to apply. So label encoder is defined. Now all I have to do is I have to keep on changing the fit part for different data set, and then we need to transform. So first I did it for 6, and now I will repeat it for other values as well. Similarly, before that, please tell me your update, whether you have completed. What number of rows is same? I don't. Yeah, it is same only. Why there will be an update? There will be no update in that. We are not dropping any data set, right? We are not eliminating or removing any data set. Label encoder, we need to apply again. Okay, so it's completed. Step number 2. After column 6, we will apply the next column. The next step is about smoker. Yes, it is necessary to use LE.fit. Without fit, how you will transform? Fit will basically get the data. It will give us the data, and then we are transforming it. The data is transformed. The last part is so again in this case we have got southwest, southeast, all these data in the region section that will get converted into again 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. Apply that, and hence your data is updated. I'll remove these 2 lines as there is no requirement of repeating them again and again. Unnecessarily, it is making the code length bigger. So here are our updates. Smoker got updated with the label encoder. In the label encoder form, region got updated in its region form. As you can see, region is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, like that. As there are only 4 values. Because text data does not make any sense to neural network. All you require in every machine learning, not only neural network, to any machine learning, wherever you are applying, all those are mathematical representation, and maths understand numbers. If your data is non-numerical, they will not understand that and you will not able to apply. There are some exceptions which can understand text as well, but it is suggested that you should convert and handle your text form of the data. So here your male and female are text, hence we need to convert into labels. That is what we are doing. So whenever you class, please make a note that if in your data set you have text form of the data or categorical, we can call it as categorical, right? So if you have a categorical form of the data, if it is a nominal, then you can remove it. Okay, don't include that. Names and all are not required. But if it is important data, like the importance of gender is there, the importance of a smoker is there, it will affect your charges. Region is an important feature. So in that case, you should handle it. You should convert the text form of the data into label encoder form. EDA. Let us do the EDA. SNS.catplot x equals to exploratory data analysis. Visualization. Time for some cat plot. So in the exploratory data analysis, we will first find out the count of smokers and count of non-smokers. Visualize the count of smoker and non-smokers. So cat plot is used for categorical plot or count. It is basically used for finding the count of the smokers and non-smokers. This is kind equals to count data equals to insurance underscore DF and palette equals to magma. Execute it. Here is your data. Class 0 is more than 1000. Class 1 is very less. This is very, very less. There is another way through which you can find the exact value. We have got value counts as well. A count plot gives you the count plotting. Okay, cat plot stands for categorical plot. So if you have a data which is of categorical type, then we find out the values of class 0 and class 1. That will give you the value of class 0 and class 1, and we will be plotting it. Let's take up the data set next. Insurance. Take the color option, smoker dot value underscore counts. Now this will give us the count of every value. So this is what I was talking about. You can get the exact value of every category. Zero 1064 class 1 274. Class 0 1064 class 1 274. SNS.dist plot insurance underscore DF charges. Distribution plot is used for showing the distribution of the data. Apply here color. So I'm going to use color equals to teal. PLT dot figure fixed size equals to 15,8. Charges, whatever distribution it looks like. What type of distribution is this? Yes, class. Plot your distribution and tell me what type of distribution this looks like. Write your answers on the chat. Positively skewed. Correct. These are all positively skewed. All right. These are all your positively skewed data, as there is a long tail in this. So fine. Completed till here. Write on your chat window, please, if it is done. Now we'll discuss about here analysis of distribution between body mass index and the charges. PLT dot figure fixed size 12,8. X part equals to body mass index. Y equals to charges. Data equals to insurance underscore DF. Palette equals to magma. Hue I will be adding it later. Let's see. So here is your data. They're all distributed. On the x-axis, this is body mass index versus insurance price. Okay. Now there are two categories of the data in this are available. If you will apply here hue equals to smoker, you're able to see it. So as soon as I will write u equals to smoker, you will able to see one which is almost linearly varying or directly proportional to body mass index. The other one is almost getting like it is not varying that much. Okay, the values are almost constant for non-smokers. Most of them are in the same range. Whereas if you are a smoker, then your value is increasing proportionally. Nothing, we are discovering the data. We are trying to see the status of the data. That is the purpose of EDA. Like from here, what we got, we understood that most of the data is available for non-smokers. Very less amount of data, very less amount of people are smokers in my data set. The second part we have understood. Now this is very clear. We wanted to check whether the charges is normally distributed or not, but we came to know that the charges is skewed. Now why that is data is skewed? The answer is pretty clear from this. How the data is skewed? Because your value of this smokers, it is not as constant as it is for the non-smokers. The values are anything as per the body mass index. These are the insights from the graph. There is no relationship between this plot and this plot. It is just we are analyzing the different insights about the data, which is important to understand the data better. Next part is let's try to find out the skewness in the data. Sorry. Let's try to find out the outliers. Box plot. Now again, I will try to plot here for two categories, smokers and non-smokers. SNS.box plot. X equals to charges. Y equals to smoker. Data equals to insurance. DF. There are two types of data which is available to us. One is non-smoker, that is smoker equals to 1. The other one is a smoker, which is smoker equals to 0. The good thing here, the amazing thing which I'm seeing here is that all your outliers that are in non-smokers. For a smoker, there are 0 outlier values. Now that depends upon the size of the sample as well, as most of the sample sizes for smokers, for non-smokers are available. But that is what the interpretation from the plot is. That if there are outliers, they're available in for non-smokers. If the person is a smoker, there is no outliers available. Next part is correlation. Now, this is also very important. you cannot simply apply correlation if your data is non-numerical. That's also one of the reasons you have to convert your non-numerical text format of the data into numerical. That is what we have done here. The inference from the box plot is that there are no outliers in person who are smokers, and there are outliers which are present only for the people who belongs to non-smoker category. For smokers, there are no outliers. Sorry, there are no outliers. For non-smokers, yes, outliers are present. How can we identify? Somebody please tell me how to identify smoker and non-smoker. Thank you, Sheetal. Correlation plot, which is very, very important. Now, in the correlation plot, I have to use this for selecting the features. For feature selection. SNS.heatmap. A not equals to true. Color map equals to red, yellow, green. Here are your heat map, which is available. Insurance DF dot correlation A not equals to true. Color map equals to red, yellow, and green. Charges versus all the other values. Just look at there. Now tell me which is the best feature and which is the worst. We already had an exercise about this. Smoker. I'm asking the worst, no? Smoker is worst. Where is your target? Target will be charges, right? That is your continuous data charges. I think you have taken it in a different way. We are not going to predict the body mass index. We have to create a model that will predict charges. Now tell me which one is worst. Charges is your target, and tell me which one is worst. Which one is the worst feature? If charges is your target, region, correct. And which one is best? Smoker. By the way, in this case, we will not drop any features as the data mostly are categorical type. Like if you will say region part, that is a categorical data. Sex is also a categorical form of data, which we have converted into binary. Children is also like that. So in this case, we are not going to drop anything. Let the features be there. As mostly we don't remove the features or we don't select the features when it comes to neural network. Neural network itself is capable enough to understand which feature is best and which feature is worst. Okay, but suppose if you will be having a lot of features, then in that case definitely correlation will be implemented to remove few not so important features. Like in this case, there are very less number of features are available, so it's okay. We are going to create a model for all the X and my target will be charges. Okay. Now we have reached in the flow part. If you will again recall, in the flow we have reached till data, pre-processing, manipulation, feature selection. The next part is splitting the data into training and testing. So that will be the last part that we'll cover today. And then we'll be starting off with our regression section. So this is your next part, splitting the data into train and test. Split into train and test. X equals to insurance df dot drop charges. Yeah, taking charges here. So we have got here X and Y. Please somebody tell me why X is equals to 1 is used. What is the purpose of that? Response on the chat window. Write in proper, sir. No. Write in proper language why X is equals to 1 is required. To drop the column, right? When we need to drop the row, what we write? X is equals to 0. This method of splitting the data into train and test is called as cross-validation. There are various ways of doing the cross-validation. Okay. Generally, it is used so that we have a scenario where the model will not get overfitted, and if it is getting overfitted, we will able to understand it. At least we will able to check. Laplayer from sklearn dot model underscore selection import train underscore test underscore split. This is the last part as the time is over. So X train, X test, Y train, Y test. Train test split, take X, Y, test size equals to 0.2. Random state equals to 0. So we have taken here the X train and X test and Y train and Y test. We've taken the function train test split, and we need to pass here X value, Y value with test size 0.2. Here the role of random state is very, very important. Please mention here random state. Please pay attention here, class. Random state. Random state is 0. Now this could be any value. There is no fixed rule about the value here. A random state could be any value, but the point is the random state needs to fixed. Why? Because this will fix the random sampling of data splitting into train and test. Class, remember that we have taken a test size which is 0.2, and we have taken here random state equals to 0. Now random state equals to 0 and test size we have taken 0.2. So this will mean that your train data and Y train, this will be 80%, and your X test and Y test, this is 20%. X train and Y train, it is 80% of the sample. Test size is 20%. That is the meaning of test size equals to 0.2. All of you pay attention. Hopefully you are writing it somewhere. Test size is 0.2. That means train size will be 80% and the test size will be 0.2. That means 20%. Now, when it is selecting the data, it is selecting randomly. Correct? The problem of random selection is that the selection will automatically adjust itself. This will keep on changing. To make it fix, we need the random state value. We need this random state value, which is equals to 0. So when you will fix this randomization, your sample will not vary if you are executing in multiple times. Okay. Otherwise, if you are not setting up a random state data, then there is a possibility that your sample will keep on changing every time you will execute it. Suppose today the sample is different, and that will impact your entire model performance. So it is important to fix your random state to a certain value. Now this value is not fixed, but generally which I prefer is to take a data between 0 to 9. That's it. That closes today's session. We are over for the day. In which cases we need to do scaling? Yes. So scaling is required when you have a varieties of ranges of data in this part in features. Let's say age is in tens. Suppose body mass index would have been in hundreds. Region values would have been like in thousands value, or some sort of a data is there which would be in 10,000s or 100,000s. So when there is a range, multiple range of the data, it will simply mean that you need a scaling in that case. Otherwise, no need of a scaling. Here, if you will look, there is no wide range of the data we have. Children is in 10 is units. Body mass index is 100 is in you can say decimal values, but the range is in tens. Ages is also in tens range. So there is no big range difference here.